we got a couple Summerland kids. The weather in Summerland is nice. Maybe sunny, maybe foggy, maybe both.
Hell yeah. I feel so much better already just in the pregame because Aaron and I go live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday on the early, usually 9 a.m. California time, but slightly earlier sometimes. But between us, family, just speaking with Aaron, it's like I just, of course, a couple sips of coffee, but I just feel a sense of like I might as well just had therapy and it's only been 5 minutes. I feel way better.
It
Yeah.
is,
It's 59 degrees.
and it's 59 degrees and a high of 71 in Summerland today. So we got the weather report. We got my most beautiful girlfriend that has helped me do that. But today, Jericho, before we get too far,
yeah,
she has surprise.
Oh God.
What is it?
Yeah.
She wanted me to do the reveal here live. Exactly. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Like, wow, what is this? My new apron? My bib? Wait.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, dude, look. It is
hell yeah.
Friday, bro.
Oh, sweet baby. Yeah, that's a
there's a little heartbeat right there.
Straight up Summerland right there, man.
Go with this guy.
She's my awesome. Fashion eye goes with this shirt.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. It's Summerland all the way. And that's 100% Summerland right there. That's how
there's more stuff. There's more stuff, Jericho. See when my girlfriend she goes, I'm so lucky to be loved. And but not only am I loved, but she seems to love the things that I do. And I don't know if you know what this is.
Wow. Oh crap. That's amazing. Hell yeah. It's the tie rack, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Jericho's ties.
Yay. That's awesome.
And then that way I could be so fancy.
Yeah. Well, style, what is it called? Organized style, fashion organization.
And of course, you know me, I'm going to do it like this.
Yeah.
And then I'll hand this one over to the assistant.
Right.
Or actually, she's the boss. And then she's got one more for me. And I don't know what this is. Oh, here we go. She says Casual Friday is every day.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, no, that's what's up.
Jericho looks so good in his Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, yay. It's the Beach Boys. We're the Beach Boys. We're the original Beach Boys. Or the son of the sons of the Beach Boys, because we're like generations now have passed since the OGs.
That's funny that you bring that up because, my mom's name is Barbara Ann. And the Beach Boys did a song called Barbara Ann.
That's rad.
Barbara
Ann. That's rad.
And it's funny because her best friend was named Sandy. And we always called her Sandy Mo from Kokomo.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And then they called me Lama Dama Ding Dong. I don't know why.
Right?
I don't know why. Ding Dong.
Classic. That's awesome. Yeah, I learned a little bit about the Beach Boys recently. Like, I think it was like the Beatles. So the Beatles did Rubber Soul, I believe, and then the Beach Boys listened to Rubber Soul, and then they produced Pet Sounds, the album Pet Sounds, and then the Beatles listened to Pet Sounds, and then they did Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So it's kind of like one inspires the other. And then another one, the inspiration just keeps coming back and forth from them. And I didn't realize how major the Beach Boys were in the time. And I think David Crosby mentions them and said they were like, corporate to the, they were very, very much like straight-laced guys with the, in terms of how they recorded. And apparently there's a tremendous amount of genius there within the Beach Boys, of which I didn't know so much about, but thankfully that documentary that's made by Bob Dylan's son called Echo in the Canyon, and it's just a wonderful tribute to the time in the 60s when I think it's Topanga Canyon. Topanga Canyon, I'm pretty sure, was the place where they all hung out. So anyway,
yeah, because that's right up there. Topanga Canyon takes you into Malibu, I think.
Yeah. So it was like a country vibe, but really close to LA to everything happening. But you got this real country kind of vibe going with, just like Summerland was for us as kids, you know, like a real country, hometown, beach town vibe, which has a great deal of influence on the artists, you know.
Yeah,
so
now you were
that,
saying about the animal sounds, and then I was listening to the B-52s and the song Rock Lobster, just kind of because in California we get those rock lobsters, and then I was listening to the video yesterday, and they're making all these little sounds.
For sure.
And I don't know if that relates, but I'm just like, yeah.
Well, no, Rock Lobster was huge for us, you know, in the 80s, like just the fact that it talked about the beach, you know, like was it girls in bikinis, boys? The lyrics are totally funny. It's hilarious.
And it was boys are in bikinis and girls were surfing,
or something like that. And then something about past the tanning butter, you know, so you're literally buttering yourself up with tanning lotion, and that whole because if you're like from the Midwest, or you know, if you're born back east, I mean, you don't have that same. California was a real leader in a lot of ways, because in I would say probably starting in the 20s, early 20s, you know, essentially the early 20th century, when bikinis were a thing, and then it was all about the appropriateness of how big should the bikini be, and there was a lot of controversy surrounding the bikini, and I think the bikini came from the Bikini Islands, where they dropped one of the first atomic bombs or something. So as a relation, the correlation between dropping the bomb, like it's, oh my God situation. And that's what the bikini was like, referring to that OMG situation.
Oh, okay. So it's like they took the OMG and twisted it around a bit. Instead of being, oh my gosh, it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's Bikini Atoll. There's a place, the Bikini Islands is a place in the South Pacific that I believe they probably did some test bombing. The U.S. Navy did some test bombing out there. And then somehow whoever was the genius to come up with the idea of calling it the Bikini. And then that became like, it's not even a brand name. It's more like naming something, you know, kind of like television.
I wonder if there was somebody in some office somewhere that's like, hey, let's turn things around. When people say bikini, they're thinking all this negative, bomb, war, blah blah blah. Let's turn it into a beach outfit and let's call it a bikini, and it will distract the whole world about it. I wonder,
because the dull way of putting it is nice swimsuit. You know, that's a nice swimsuit you have on there, or something like that. Or I love your swimsuit. But instead of saying I love your swimsuit, you say I love your bikini. Yeah. So
wasn't there a song, Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini? I've got some information from our research department, Jericho. Go ahead, research department.
Evidence of bikini style women's clothing has been found as early as 5600 BC.
Wow.
Do you hear that? 5600. I wonder how risque it was considered back then.
He's right about the swimsuit being introduced because of the Bikini Atoll, where the public nuclear test was, and it was designed by the French clothing designer Louis Reard.
So Louis Reard has in François Voulez-Vous has been a fashion designer, and yes, it was related to that public nuisance of war.
Right. Exactly.
For weapons.
So, you know, shout out to
I heard down through the grapevine, you have also possibly a person in the background somewhere.
Yeah, I have a dog here right now. I think he's on a smoke break. I have the puppy is here. Thea Bear. I have Thea's in the studio audience today. So
Nice.
yeah. And shout out to on the bikini theme. Shout out to the Bikini Factory, which was run by Rennie Yater of Yater Surfboards, Santa Barbara Surfboards, Yater Surfboards. His wife was a bikini maker, Sally Yater. So Sally Yater started the Bikini Factory in Summerland, and as you remember, as kids, it was there next to Tinker's. I think in the early days there was a hair salon, and then Bikini Factory, and then there was I don't think there I remember there actually was a deli before Tinker's or something. Remember that?
I remember going there and playing a video game.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was similar to Asteroids as far as the controller. You had a thrust, a left, a right, and a fire.
Right.
But it was 3 rings, so you had to break in through the ring and avoid all the stuff going on.
Yeah,
but I remember dumping
that.
a lot of quarters in that machine.
For sure. So Santa Barbara, as a beach community that we grew up in, really had a massive, I want to say, beach influenced culture. Of course, how could you not be influenced by the place you're living? And then subsequently, a handful of fashion designers. Jill Johnson, she has True Grit with Wally. Shout out to Jill and Wally from True Grit. It's called Love Worn now, I believe. So they're in Santa Barbara. They're still there. They're still designing, and they're still creating. They're on the what'd you say, beach, close to the beach, extremely close to the beach, like one block from the beach in Santa Barbara. And they have a little store called Love Worn, and they are designing beachwear and California clothing, essentially. And that's a cool thing. Of course, the beach house, Surf and Wear Beach House. Do you remember Surf and Wear, the surf shop, or no?
Vaguely, I think I do.
Vaguely? Yeah. So Surf and Wear was on Carrillo Street, I believe, a long time ago when we were kids. And then Roger moved Surf and Wear down to the beach. So they're right on the beach now in Santa Barbara, Surf and Wear's Beach House. And that's where you can buy Yater surfboards now. And R.I.P. Jeff White. Jeff White was the original founder of Surf and Wear and Owl surfboards. And Owl surfboards was actually made in Summerland. And perhaps one of the houses you lived in used to be a surf shop. Like Yater surfboards, I think, was originally kind of behind the Nugget, but up the hill a little bit. There's a red house right there. That red house.
I don't know what color it is.
Yeah.
It's weird. I have such a vivid memory of the day my bird flew away. Tweety the bird. Huge.
Wow.
The yard scene when I was just a little kid, and this is before, grade school. This is, maybe preschool or even before, but I remember the bird flew up into the tree and I sat there and I thought to myself, I'm going to miss you, Tweety, but you're free. Have fun. And just the yard being so huge. And then I come back now as an adult and I look at it. I'm like, yeah, that's a decent sized yard, but it just seems so much bigger back then.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then the little trails. What's cool about Summerland is somehow as kids, we managed to find our little way through people's, I guess, side yards or backyards by way of little fences and little trails between the houses. So you could actually climb the mountain of Summerland from where your house is at. You go straight up that road where the Summerland Beach Cafe is now. And then you connect to Varley, I believe. And then there's a little, we call it the Goat Trail, which is, it connects up to Banner from there. Remember that?
Yeah, I think, isn't that where the grass hill was? I don't know if you were involved in that scene where we would take the sleds. Since we didn't have snow, we just ride these sleds down the dirt and the grass. And there was a little jump. If you turned left, there was a jump. And if you turned right, it would go straight. And we would pack 3 of us. We had those blue 55-gallon drums. And it was cut in half. So we would pack
Oh, wow.
3 of us in there, and all of us would lean to the left, and we take that big jump and just and smash and land and
Right?
crash, I guess.
Yeah, I think that was off of Banner when remember the super steep part of Banner. So it's behind Roy and Hootie's house. How Banner was just massively steep and huge, and then it had a run out. And if you went straight across the road, it was right by. So essentially, it's kind of like behind Dan Taglis's old house, where the hill you're talking about is. I think, kinda. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. I think Taylor may have either known somebody up there or lived up there, so it was kind of between Dan and Taylor's. And
you're right.
that brings back a memory, because one time I was up there. I forget what I was doing, but there was a horse there, and it started raining, and I reached up to grab the wire, just to set my hand on the wire. Didn't realize it was an electric fence, so I'm soaking wet, and it's raining. And I got knocked back.
Dude, wow.
The neighbor came out. They're like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I think I'm fine. I think. Do you want some water? Sure, yeah. And it was pouring rain, one of those wicked summer thunderstorms that we get sometimes.
Right. Wow. Yeah, we just had one yesterday. Actually, here I had to dig out some. What do you say? The little water. Trails or gullies or
some landscaping drainage ditch.
Yeah, exactly. So I did some of those real quick because it was raining pretty good, and then thankfully I found a local place where we can get free mulch, like chopped up wood mulch for free. I mean, we do. It's part of where one of my mom's house. That's a rental. It's a HOA. It's in an HOA community. So thankfully, within that community, one benefit of that, I guess, is they do have a clubhouse, of which I should check out. I haven't been there for years, so that's a thought. But they also have a free mulch area where I can get some mulch, for the yard. And I filled in a whole area where my little nursery is, where the outdoor plants are and stuff. I filled in that whole area with mulch. And on J-Braw's prompt of like, dude, you need to, put some gravel under the pots, and you need to mulch this out. And, so it's the basic gardening techniques that I kind of remember from my grandfather, when I used to go visit his nursery as a kid. It was freaking amazing because his nursery was huge on Via Real. And I used to be able to drive the golf cart, or a little electric utility cart that they had. And that was just, and then of course a food truck would show up every morning at 10 or 11 o'clock, right, with a horn, and they'd have like La Toteca burritos and orange soda.
Oh yeah, was it Fago? Do you remember, or was it Orange Crush?
It might have been Fanta. It might have been Fanta, or maybe Sunkist. But you remember, Sunkist had a big push in the 1970s, I want to say, / early 80s of promotion and ads. My parents were definitely hippies, and they kept me off soda. Like, I didn't know what soda was until 1977 or 1976, I want to say.
No, I knew it. My mom was kind of the same way. No sodas, no candy in the house. If I wanted something sweet, I could use honey. And that's actually, Jericho, what got me going to church. I still, to this day, donuts at the church Sunday school. But we used to go to church on the Sunday school side, and they always had candy. And I'm like, oh yeah, candy, let's go. I always thought it was strange. Just because, I don't know, a spiritualist community, growing up hippie and Gnostic, and then here I'm going to this, I don't even know if it was Catholic or Protestant, some type of Christian church.
Yeah.
But they had candy for me. And so it was weird because that was the biggest faux pas, the biggest no-no in the house was candy, and sugar is the evil sugar. It's going to kill you one day. But
then you go to church and it's all there.
Have some candy, little man. And I just gave it up.
I mean, was it a free coffee and donuts? I'm sold. I'm there. Yeah. I actually had a dream last night about.
I wrote a song about it, but
yeah,
I don't remember.
Funny. I had a dream last night on the church theme. I had a dream about my old friend brother Charles. I think I might have told you about that. Where my friend Joe Costa from the Body Shop, when I was 19 years old, he was a born again Christian. So he said, you need to go see Brother Charles. So I'm like, okay, who's Brother Charles? He's this old guy who's a prison minister, and he would meet with men mostly and chat about, of course, the Lord and, you know, all that stuff. And he recommended reading Proverbs, which Proverbs, I guess, in the Bible is, he said it was mainly for young men to understand like morals and values and such. So anyways, I had a little moment there when I was 19 where I jumped down the Christian rabbit hole, and then I realized it was sort of like Footloose, a little bit Footloose-ish with in terms of no dancing and the restrictions on a pre-20-year-old guy. It was a little bit too restrictive for me, so I jumped out of it.
You know, it strikes me as funny because as I got older, you know, I kind of was like, oh, well, Jesus Christ, the man, he's in Roman history, and what was he all about? He was a damn rebel. He hung out with prostitutes. He hung out with the drunks. He turned water into wine.
Right.
And it just goes against my logic anyway of, well, why is abstaining from life part of this? And I don't know. I get confused. Like I always claim I'm Gnostic. And what does that mean? You'll never know. It's hidden. It's within. It's, you know, it's like the philosophies of Socrates, you know. And I always thought that was just super interesting, you know, to consider a man that did what that man did, or even all the others, like even Socrates, you know, I'd rather die in court. Why don't you just kill me? I'm not going to run away from my society. I'm not going to run away from this just because you don't like what I'm talking about on the streets.
Right.
Fine. Take me down. Whatever.
Yeah. No, for sure. That makes me think of the library in terms of research. And it's a little bit old school now because, of course, you can just Google everything. But if you actually go to a public library and go in to do some research, whether it's on researching architecture or like researching cartooning, like I'm with my grandfather's, work. I mean, libraries still, they try to keep up. I mean, we have a local library here in Pagosa, and they're very active with public programs, because in a smaller town, they still here have like a little internet cafe there where they have computers to use. And then they have little programs like, I think they might even do like Dungeons and Dragons, or there's a card game. It's got to be D&D, I'm pretty sure. So there's
Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering could be that, where they do they do it there. So it's a public space for people to gather, and it's very like, it's almost like as if the internet wasn't invented. They're just still rolling with the old school style of, hey, we're still checking books out like we always did. We never stopped. So I want to encourage our audience to go to the library, read a book.
Read a book. Now, libraries, you know, I'm not a history buff or anything, but I'm definitely interested in history. You know, places like the Library of Alexandria, or the Vatican archives.
I know. What's up with that? I mean, that's just incredible. And then what I did find out about in Ohio State University, they have the Billy Ireland Cartoon Art Museum, and apparently it's the largest cartoon art museum in the world. They recently got a donation of like 5 semi-truck loads full of probably newspapers of cartoon art, and they had to process that. So they're extremely set up, and they were started by, I believe they were inspired and started by the collection donated by Billy Ireland. So they named it the Billy Ireland Cartoon Art Museum after their first major donor, who decided to donate to that college. So anyways, shout out to Billy
that's
Ireland.
super cool.
It's good to know that someone cares and someone's preserving the history. I'm sure if you looked up in your area, there's probably some cool history of like gold mining and the gold rush era, but you'd have to literally like try to find it, like search for it, because it's old fashioned to search for things in real time, in real life, in person. Like, hey, where's that where's that location that has the history of gold mining? Frick, I don't know.
Well, you know, there's so much history, so much diverse history. You know, it's like on the one hand, over here you got the Chinese temple. Over on the other hand, you got the public bathhouse, which is boarded up, which seems kind of odd. You know, I got my own theories of why the government does what it does, but beyond gold, you know, it just makes sense. Yeah, this is a resource of America. You know, how do we reserve that, conserve that resource for future generations? So that's a good thing on that hand. But then, of course, there's well, I'm in charge of the government, so I'm the only one that can access these resources. You know, but these are just my theories. You know, I'm merely just an idiot savant, maybe.
No, you are, man. If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't have passed 6th grade. Because, you know, looking over your shoulder with your math skills, somehow Aaron was like, you know, like the Rain Man of math. Like he just got math, you know, when you were.
I'm going to be honest, bro. My mom taught me before school started.
Right.
I was let into preschool a year early. And so like those things were kind of easy for me, but being, I guess now they call it autism or whatever. I was ADD, attention deficit,
ADHD,
attention hyperactivity disorder, HSD, which was hypersensitivity disorder, possibly dyslexic, because everything was I'd always change things around.
Right.
And my speech, you know, I talked so fast when I was a kid, nobody could understand me. And I had the tooth when I was a kid, both the teeth missing.
Oh, right.
So no one could understand me.
Right.
You know, I'd say sit and they think I said shit.
Yeah. God.
Oops, maybe I said shit when I was a kid. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they sent me off in 1st grade to redo 1st grade. And it was by happenstance the same name. The teacher had the same name. Mrs. Schnippel was our 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade teacher in Summerland school. So then I get sent over to Catalino school, and it was Miss Schnippel's like daughter or something. I don't know, like a relative of Mrs. Schnippel, but a younger, beautiful version of Mrs. Schnippel was my 1st grade teacher at Catalino. So I made all these friends at Catalino school. And then I got sent back to Summerland for 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and so on. And then fast forward to junior high, all of a sudden I end up in Carpinteria Junior High. And oh my God, there's all my friends from 1st grade Catalino school. All my buddies had grown up. You know, like Tommy wasn't the fat kid anymore. Tommy was the skinny tall kid. You know,
yeah.
Like the classic scene of like, you know, 7 years when you're a kid, man, from let's say 1st grade to junior high, that's a giant leap for kids. You know, I mean, junior high, you're like a little man. You're thinking like, you know, you're already grown up in your mind, you know, in junior high.
Oh yeah. And I don't know about you, but there were definitely some kids in junior high, you know, the mustache. You know, you had that little peach fud mustache.
Yeah. I remember one guy named Gabe. He had the full stash in junior high. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was like, wow.
I know.
How come? You know?
Amazing. Those power players. So you want to shout out to our sponsors? Sponsored by Neil Young, sponsored by nobody.
Let's we are sponsored here today by Now.
By Now. And our loved ones.
It's something you can never escape, but you're always trying to.
And shout out to your lovely lady for giving you those beautiful shirts. Because the Hawaiian, we have a beach motif going now. So Casual Friday will forever be extremely Summerland casual. Yeah. Or everyday casual, you know?
Well, I'm going to say something here. You know how you're like, well, I got the tie and the jacket, my business attire. But then there's Steve Jobs.
Right.
Shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah.
And then all these beach businesses, you know?
Yeah.
So business attire has morphed throughout the years. I always, you know, when I put my necktie and I tie it here, I'm like, how could anyone just around the neck?
I feel like I'm choking right now, but it's like, what is it like? Maybe it makes you feel like you're choked for the 9 to 5, but then you get to take it off and be released from it. You're free.
No, it's true, because it's like, how can you understand hot if you've never experienced anything other than hot?
Right, exactly, totally.
You need a contrast.
Well, that was another good show, man. This was episode number 47, June 11th, 2024. Cheers to the Summerland kids. Cheers to us. And cheers to everybody out there.
You know what to do. Press
the like, subscribe button. Like and subscribe to the Aaron's, and you know, our Facebook and our all of our social media influencers.
Yes, don't forget to share us out, boss.
Yeah, exactly. Have a great afternoon.